previous year, I put here special slides in Persian. So I listened to a Persian lecture, good lecture, for medical students, maybe so much for you, and extract here screenshot. Quality is not very well, no? But you can use it.
بتقولوا هذه بعض. I'm sorry, can you pretend to move a little bit? I'm recording.
And then I want to explain about correction. 31 here. After lecture, come to me, and I will explain what is necessary.
Give it to you later.
You later.
Okay.
Student gave me homework, must correct something. I will explain what. It's not so difficult, it's everything good, but it's necessary to correct and give me again, for example, tomorrow. Well, we don't have lecture about metabolism, oral lecture about metabolism for dentists. I had this lecture for medical students. If you want, I can give you a link, no problem. I gave you a presentation, you can use it. Because metabolism works together with digestion. It's directed to provide your cells nutrients. With nutrients each moment to live, to provide with nutrients. And nutrients are carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. Cells take nutrients from the blood, but cells takes small molecules, monomers. They are amino acids from proteins, free fatty acid and glyceride from triglyceride, lipids molecules, and glucose, mostly glucose, and other sugars, small sugar molecules from the blood. Cells work with it and release energy, ATP synthesis, then ATP hydrolysis, ATP, direct release energy, heat production, and another maybe energy, electrical energy. ATP then can be transformed to movement, secretion, a lot of functions of the body. How body can have monomers from the external environment with food and supplementary mineral salts, water, vitamins. It's provided by digestion. And today I'm going to talk about the common principles of digestion. It's a big topic. It's impossible to explain everything during one lecture. I'm going to say the most important thing and draw a picture. I advise you to copy my picture by pens because I will explain the simplest scheme. Presentation contains more complicated schemes. I will explain. Digestion. Open my presentation and look at the first slide.
Presentation.
Digestion. What is a digestion? Digestion is a process happening in the digestive tract or gastrointestinal tract. It includes breakdown, mechanical and chemical with absorption. Finally, with absorption. The main process is digestion. Mechanical breakdown. What is digestion? Mechanical breakdown. Chemical breakdown. And absorption. Three processes, main processes, providing blood by nutrients, monomers. Absorption. Absorption of monomers, sometimes dimers. Absorption of monomers, sometimes dimers. No, mostly monomers. Amino acids, glucose, fructose, maybe not mostly glucose, and lipids. Absorption of lipids is a special process. I will explain later. Triglyceride may be absorbed in the blood, in the lymph, with big molecules. So, look at second slide, function of gastrointestinal tract. Function of gastrointestinal tract. You can see two kinds, digestive and non-digestive. In digestive function are appropriate processes. Motor function provides mechanical breakdown. Secretory function is production of enzymes providing chemical breakdown and absorption. Easy. Three processes, three digestive function. The rest of functions are not digestive, but important for the body also. Absorption of water and salts. So it participates in regulation of water-salt balance. Okay? Protective function with food, through oral cavity, body can take from the external environment wastes, bacteria. It's necessary to protect gastrointestinal tract, especially oral cavity, and the stomach. Later also. It's immune function. Immune function with special substance of saliva. For example, lysozyme. Do you know lysozyme? Of course, lysozyme. Immune globulins, especially immune globulin A. GM also, but A is main secretory immune globulins. Lactoferrins, defensins. The main immune substance of the saliva. Immune globulins, especially A, GM also, A main secretory, lysozyme, lactoferrin, defensins. Defensins are substances produced by salivary gland and gingival fluid. I don't remember defense. Yes. The defense, of course. It's not the defense. Значит, immune function. Regulatory function. What is it? Regulatory function. Gastrointestinal tract contains a lot of separate endocrine cells producing peptide hormones. They are all gastrointestinal hormones. We will study it today also. So gastrointestinal tract can influence with through blood even on the brain activity and regulate our mood. Do you feel satiety sometime 1-2 hours after meal? Do you feel satiety?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, due to neural signal, of course, but mostly humoral signal, gastrointestinal hormones can influence on your brain. And some hormones of pancreas. Pancreas contain endocrine cells. Endocrine cells produce insulin and glucagon. They are both hormones. They can influence on brain also. And regulatory function in other system. For example, if you stimulate some other one with tasty substance, you can change your blood pressure. How? Sweet food chain produces dilation of blood vessels. Your blood pressure falls down. The sweet food decreases blood pressure. Bitter food, or an opposite, constrict blood vessel and increase blood pressure. Affect coffee. Coffee, for example, absolutely without sugar, bitter coffee increases blood pressure, not only due to direct caffeine effect on cells, also due to a reflex from the tongue receptor. So your manipulation with patient can provoke reflexes in different systems, not just in oral in different systems, especially in cardiovascular system. It may be a decrease in blood pressure or increased blood pressure. Maybe you have problem. Before your manipulation, you must ask your patient about possible problem and diseases in cardiovascular system. And excretory function, last function. Excretory is excretions of wastes, urea, uric acid, creatinine maybe, toxin, every waste or toxin are excreted not just with kidney, but with saliva, gastric juice, and the composition of saliva contains urea, like urine, but less concentration. Well, what is the digestive conveyor? The most famous Russian physiologist, Pavlov, discovered the principle of work gastrointestinal tract as conveyor, like conveyor. Conveyor is a sequence of processes. What is a conveyor? Mechanical conveyor to produce car, for example. One details, next details. Every process is required to provide next process. The same here, but not so crucial, because if you forget put in a car some details, car maybe not doesn't move or have maybe break. But our gastrointestinal tract has adaptation. Because it works like conveyor. It means that every part provides important biological result. What is the result of digestion in oral cavity? Final result. What is the result? Bolus. Oral cavity, the first part of digestive tract. Oral cavity provides digestion, primary breakdown of food with formation of bolus adequate for swallowing. And your brain analyzes this bolus and allows to be swallowed or not. Because you have a problem sometimes, especially children, to swallow tops or pillows, because pillows is not adequate for brain. Brain doesn't know what is it, and just voluntarily you can force your swallowing apparatus to swallow. То есть involuntary swallow. What happens in stomach? The esophagus passes bolus into stomach. What happens in stomach? Stomach provides the next mechanical and chemical breakdown, and there are grinding, mixing, and finally in the area before pylorus, in the pylorus and before pyloric sphincter, food particles have to be very, very small to check down. 1 millimeter size is very, very small, and they must have very acidic pH. It's signal to open pyloric sphincter. Then stomach chyme provides special chyme. Then it opens pyloric sphincter, and it passes chyme to duodenum. And that's the rest part of small intestine. During swallowing, also sphincters, special sphincters, controls these processes, upper sphincter and lower. Upper esophagus sphincter and lower esophagus. Upper and lower esophagus sphincter. The sphincter allow to swallow or stop and prevent coming back. Coming back is the disorder of normal digestion is called reflux. It's a kind of disease or disorder. So every part provides special breakdown of food with formation of the special result. If some part has disorder, the next part can compensate, but it will be not effective in comparison with normal. Well, it's the idea of conveyor. The rest you will listen to my lecture video or look at slide number. This is the basic digestive processes. I don't have here numbers. 6 or 5 basic digestive processes. You can see a red line marks grinding. Grinding is directed to decrease food particles with teeth, with a strong contraction of smooth muscle in the stomach. Grinding, main grinding here. Grinding and dilution with a lot of saliva, lubrication, solution. Saliva dissolves tasty food, tasty particles, dissolves food, dilution. To make food particles make particles available to enzyme effect, dilution, and pay attention, oral cavity, stomach, and the first part of duodenum provide breakdowns to oligomers, not monomers. Of course, some single monomers can be here, but not enough to increase concentration of these monomers in blood. A little, just a little. Mostly to oligomers. These big particles are background to less big, smaller, but anyway oligomers. For example, peptides. Peptides, also parts of lipids. Then, small intestine and large intestine provide breakdown to monomers, final stage. То есть at first preparation, then main digestion, and the last part final digestion and absorption. Three stage. Next slide, types of digestion. Types of digestion may be different classification. At first, what is the source of origin of enzymes? Our body produce our enzymes, amylase in saliva or in pancreas, pepsin in the stomach, and others. But some enzymes are produced by microbiota. Microbiota has a lot of function. Synthesize vitamins, special digestive process to feed intestine, to maintenance intestine function. And the change of microbiota composition can influence dramatically on your health. Totally, not just the digestive system. And autolytic. Autolytic when food contains enzyme. For example, papain or milk, mother milk during lactation. If you don't boil food, meat, if you don't boil meat and eat meat without cooking, it digests better. Maybe it's better for digestion, but because meat cells, muscle cells, coal, for example, contain enzymes, proteolytic enzymes inside special vesicles. With a primary process of digestion stomach, acid destroy membrane, muscles, and these enzymes can work. But raw meat, not cooked meat, contains infection. Be careful, don't do it. And types of digestion localization of enzymes. Extracellular, mostly in the gastrointestinal tract, but intracellular is possible also inside cells. For example, enterocytes, do you know enterocytes? Cells of intestine. Enterocytes can take peptides, dipeptides, prepeptides, and break down to amino acids. Very important slide, regulatory mechanism for digestion. Reflexes, slide 10 slide. Remember it. Memorize the three regulatory mechanisms. Usual central reflexes, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Humoral mechanism, gastrointestinal hormones or nutrients also can affect the digestive process. And local reflexes with enteric nervous system. Some details about central reflexes. Central reflexes are parasympathetic, usually increase activity of digestion, increase digestion processes. Sympathetic inhibits. Sympathetic reflexes inhibit. Except saliva. Parasympathetic as well as sympathetic increase activity of salivary gland, but with production of different saliva. Parasympathetic reflex increase the volume of saliva. Right. Parasympathetic reflex increase the volume of saliva with a lot of water and salts. Increase the volume of saliva with a lot of water and salts. And consequently, low concentration of enzymes. Enzymes are released also, but a lot of water, so concentration falls. Sympathetic reflex increase release of enzymes. and provides a small volume of saliva. Small volume of saliva per cheek with a high concentration of enzymes. Viscous saliva. What condition produce prevalence of sympathetic system in your patient, for example? What will be more probably, sympathetic prevalence or parasympathetic?
Parasympathetic. Para?
Patients.
Parasympathetic?
No, because patients has fear, especially mine. No, your patient, when you work with your patient, not when you are eating, of course, parasympathetic. And your patient, sympathetic, stress. What do you feel during stress, exam stress, for example? More saliva or less saliva in your mouth? Less saliva.
Less saliva.
You can feel dry. No, most people. So some people with prevalence of vagus activity may be opposite because individual response. Most people has a sensation of dry mouth, although saliva is produced, but saliva is viscous, and subjectively you feel dry. But you can see your patient has a lot of saliva. Why? It's another process, stress process. Stress emotion, decrease volume saliva, but direct stimulation of oral cavity will increase parasympathetic. Parasympathetic will prevail. At first, you write that finally, parasympathetic activity will prevail due to your manipulation, direct manipulation. But emotional state,
According to fairness, according to the patient fear, he will.
Yes. Fear decrease saliva production, but direct mechanical stimulation, devices, mechanical stimulation with gingiva, vein, increase parasympathetic activity. And all time, every moment, brain has some balance between parasympathetic and sympathetic influence on the saliva. Not just one system, both, but with a change of balance between them. During eating, also sympathetic and parasympathetic both active, both are active. You can look 11th slide, patient slide, about role of reflexes in the digestive process. Study is the goal. It's not necessary to memorize. For you, understand that it's important for medical education. The humoral mechanism, hormones. Look at 13th slide. What hormones do you see here? Blue. Secretin, okay, green. Gastrin, yellow box, and cholecystokinin, CCK, cholecystokinin. There are two pronunciations possible. Cholecystokinin is pronunciation, stress at the cholecystokinin. British cholecystokinin. Yeah, I prefer cholecystokinin, but you can say remember name upper. Gastrin, the main hormone of stomach, Gastrin, main in the stomach. The rest two hormones, cholecystokinin and secretin, in the duodenum. Motilin and gastrointestinal peptide, important hormones, but for you, not. To free and first. And the last mechanism, last regulatory mechanism, anti-local reflex. The color slide contain more details, and the black-white contains principal details. I will draw again enteric reflex to recall from the previous semester. We studied it, but we didn't have a lot of time. Recall now. Did you remember histology of the intestine? Do you remember histology of the intestine? Mucose, submucosal plexus, submucosal plexus, and circular layer. Here, neurons, submucosal plexus, submucosal plexus. Then layer of circular muscle, then mesenteric plexus with another type of neuron, then longitudinal muscle. Longitudinal muscle. Mucose. Submucosal plexus contains mostly afferent neurons with several fibers. One fiber work like receptor. And other fibers transmit signal, conduct signal to the neurons in the same plexus or upper plexus. Here it's possible. Or here. Mesenteric plexus contains interneuron and afferent neuron. Here, example, interneuron, then afferent neuron. For example, the afferent neuron will stimulate, increase muscle tone of some muscle in circular layer. It's just example, muscle. What is the advantage of local reflexes? Local reflexes provides coordination in the small part of intestine. Don't lose energy of central nervous system. Local regulation, because digestion in the intestine requires a lot of time. Well, here details about digestion in different part of the gastrointestinal tract. I will check presence. 31 presence. Азизигамиль факе файзер. Вот here. Гашгар. Так, Джуди. Why?
Sick. She is sick.
Sick.
مشكلة الصوت.
Михаил.
He is sick also.
Is he infected from Jude?
Maybe.
Ну, зависит, каким вас. Так, Махмуд Сидор.
Sick. True.
Sajad.
Absent.
Is he in Moscow?
We don't know.
Using Moscow.
Disappear.
Using Moscow.
Huh? In Moscow?
We don't even know.
Does he live in the dormitory or?
He lives in the hotel.
He lives with us in Afshijit.
Next week.
تذكرته تذكرته
Here.
Absent.
Here. Here. Vita.
Yes.
Here. Here. Kimia. Kadunava.
Absent.
Details. The most important topic for you, of course, is about oral cavity. Common principles that I say, and oral cavity. Oral cavity provides mechanical breakdown with mastication. Mastication, it's activity of the skeletal muscle, masticatory muscle or chewing muscle. So it has a good, great voluntary control. Of course, mastication happens usually involuntary, but you can control it well if you want. Chew it a longer or shorter time. And chemical breakdown is provided with saliva. Saliva is the product of all salivary glands, not just one salivary gland. What is the product of the one salivary gland? Is the secret. The secret. And the mix of secrets is called saliva. Because one salivary gland produces secret. Mix of secret is called saliva. Saliva has mixed composition. Saliva. There is start of the digestion in the oral cavity, started breakdown, mostly carbohydrates, mostly starch. The main substance is digested in the oral cavity is starch. Digest starch, not to glucose, because the time of digestion after bitten, before swallowing, what is it? How much time passes between biting and swallowing? How much time?
Like 20 seconds.
30 seconds. It's less than 1 minute. It's not enough to provide formation of glucose. Значит, main enzyme in the oral cavity, alpha amylase. Alpha amylase. Alpha amylase breaks down starch molecules. Starch molecules to dextrine, not to glucose. Dextrine. Do you know dextrine?
No.
Starch. Starch. Do you know the biochemist? Starch. Potatoes. Potatoes. Bread.
النشويات.
Dextrines are size molecules. And finally, to maltose. Maltase. Maltase is dimer. Dimer, it consists of 2 molecules of glucose. 2 glucose. Dimer. 2 glucose molecules. If you chew a long time, more than 1 minute, you can sense sweety taste, because saliva contains alpha glucosidase. It breaks down maltase to glucose. There's another enzyme of saliva. It's called maltose. Here, maltase enzyme. Maltose here. Enzyme is called maltase. Amylase, maltase, lipase. Ideal. Maltase, or another biochemical term, alpha glucosidase. But concentration of glucose in your blood rises immediately during eating. Why? During chewing, a few glucose molecules, it's not enough to provide good absorption. But signal from oral cavity, a lot of nerves, is conducted immediately into brain, nerve center, and it triggers release of glucose from the storage. Glycogen. It's a reflex.
Example.
It's not absorption in the oral cavity. If you put in oral cavity glucose solution, spray for diabetes person, it can be absorbed. But in a normal person, during eating, a few of molecular glucose may be absorbed. But this digestion prepares carbs to digest in the other parts, in the stomach, in the duodenum. The main enzyme here amylase. Alpha amylase, remember at least. But saliva contain other enzymes, lipase, proteases, and lingual lipase. But these enzymes can't work effectively in the oral cavity. Why? Because proteases can break down effectively big molecules of proteins. Protein molecule has a free or third or fourth structure, subunit, big molecules. It's necessary to separate it, denaturate. It happens late in the stomach. So proteases are not effective. But can you feel, taste, separate, recognize, distinguish taste of meat and bread? Why? Because you can feel taste of amino acid. Proteases can cleave single amino acid. It's not enough to provide good digestion proteins, but it provides taste, and mark food. Your brain understands, I have meat, I have proteins. It's a signal about food composition. The same for lipase. Lipase can break down single lipid particles and provide taste of fat food. Can you distinguish taste of, for example, broad, oil food, and not oil? Of course,
Yes.
due to this, if block lipase, lingual lipase, you lose your capacity to recognize. It's for testing. Proteases, lingual lipase are necessary for test food composition, but not for effective digestion. What is the composition saliva more? Open slide. Waiting. Saliva. The enzymes I explained. Mucin lubricates saliva and has protective function. Biologically active substance from the blood or cellular cells, kinins, hemostatic factors regulate fluidity of blood, immune substances I explained, and inorganics, water, cations, anions. What is the function of inorganic? Water provides lubrication, solution of tasty molecules to facilitate digestion, and water has protective function more. If you compare composition of saliva in response to sweet water, for example, sweet tea, you drink sweet tea, and collect saliva during contact. And another example, to put lime. And the second case, volume of saliva will be bigger, but saliva will be transparent with a lot of water and nothing enzymes, because this saliva protects, solves acid of lime, and protects your mucus. Composition of saliva is regulated by a balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic inputs. Then draw the pig skin together, salivary reflex arc. Regulation of I forgot to say the main very important thing. a different part of gastrointestinal tract have a different balance between reflexes, humoral influence, and local influence. In oral cavity, just reflexes. In stomach, reflexes and humoral, but reflexes more. In intestine, more humoral. And large distal part of intestine, local. Gradient of influence. Oral cavity, reflex. 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 Yeah, reflex. Stomach, reflex. Central reflex. Reflexes more than hormones. Reflexes. I mean here central reflexes, sympathetic parasympathetic. Duodenum prepares humoral hormones. Hormones more than reflexes. It's opposite. And
عادي
distal part of intestine.
عادي شو ما عم نشوف
Intestine. Of course, duodenum is part of intestine also, but special part.
can move
Intestine
I
local.
can't see
Here local. Значит, mark it, then I will write. Значит, gradient of regulatory influences. The first part, reflexes prevail. The end, local prevails. Middle, medium, humoral. So in oral cavities, there are reflexes, reflex regulation of saliva production and release and mastication. Reflexatory, humoral, not. Canaries.
yes يا عبر تمسح لنا
Study to draw reflex. I will ask every student in the colloquium to draw this reflex arc. This is the mastication. Reflex arc. Stimulation of saliva production. Saliva production may be stimulated by every stimulation, every part of the mouth and everything. But I will draw a reflex from the tongue during it. More adequate.
مرسل يا وحش
Tongue innervation, taste innervation, if you remember sensory system, taste innervation. For the tympani, fiber of facial nerve, most of the tasty receptors. For the tympani, behind glossopharyngeus, pharyngeal nerve, pharynx, taste receptor, fiber nerve. These three nerves are taste nerves. They conduct information from the taste receptors, but saliva production can be stimulated, not just information, taste information, but tactile receptors, proprioceptor receptors, mechanical stimulation, temperature, pain. It provides by trigeminal. Trigeminal in every part. First neuron, afferent neuron. Second other neuron is located inside central nervous system, in the medulla. Very important afferent nucleus for most of the vital functions. It's called nucleus tractus sanitarius. Nucleus tractus sanitarius. You have a full name. First other, second other neuron. Then there is divergence of information into upper part of brain providing taste perception. Third order neuron, the central system is located in the thalamus. hypothalamus. Then, of course, into cortex, brain cortex, with feedback regulation, descending regulation, is a sensory signal. Reflex signal. A reflex signal is provided by a parasympathetic and sympathetic center. Parasympathetic center has direct connection with sensory pathway. It consists of two salivary nuclei, parasympathetic, upper salivary nucleus and lower salivary nucleus. Upper nucleus and lower. Salivary. Remember, upper and lower. Sorry, so superior inferior. Superior inferior. A mix with esophagus. Superior and inferior. Superior and inferior. Inferior. Salivatory nuclei. Both parasympathetic with different innervation of different salivary gland. Three big salivary glands. Did you study in histology composition of salivary cells? There are two types of acinar cells, mucose and serous. Serous and mucose, did you study?
Yes.
Parotid glands contains just serous. Parotid. Serous.
Generalist.
The rest of glands contains both serous and mucose with different ratio. Submandibular and sublingual. Parotid gland is innervated through separated ganglion, inferior otic ganglion. I do not write here this notation. The parotid gland has separate innervation. Two rest glands are innervated from the common ganglion, but different synapses. This is parasympathetic reflex arm. Parasympathetic reflex arm. Inferior superior salivatory nucleus innervates parotid, separated innervation. Superior innervates the rest of big salivary gland. And the balance between influence on this nuclei provides a difference of different composition of the saliva, final saliva. What happens with sympathetic? Pay attention, the sympathetic reflex start after analysis confirmation in the upper part of the brain, after thalamus. Thalamus, hypothalamus. It controls by cortex, of course. And sympathetic center is located in the spinal cord. Preganglionic neuron.
يا لهوي. مش عامل حساب ده.
Lateral. Lateral cords. And then information is transmitted in sympathetic ganglion, upper, superior cervical ganglion, sympathetic, and then innervation. Of cerebral gland. Значит, study it better to the next week. To the next week. Yes, yes, different nerves, but here just to show common sympathetic influence on all glands. Here separate, here common influence. To adapt to stress or balance during mastication. I will explain complicated picture representation. What did I do? Look 19, 80 or 19, motor control of respiratory muscles. Picture, big picture. 19 or 18 or 20s. Before survival. 20. Yes. Well, final result, mastication. Mastication is provided by masticatory muscles, but not just it. Additional muscle, facial muscle, tongue move foot to the right or to the left, position. Mastication muscle are innervated by trigeminal nerve, facial by facial nerve, also different nerves. But the main mastication muscle, what is the main muscle required to close nose?
شو كان اسمها هاي؟ عضلات الرجلون masseter.
Several muscle open mouth. Then I will send you additional information, additional presentation. It's with name of muscles. Masseter to close, the rest to open, and provide lateral during children. Mastication center. Where mastication center? Mastication center includes center of trigeminal nerve and upper center. It's controlled by cortex, motor area, motor cortex, precentral gyrus, and pay attention to feedback, mastication, arrow to the left, sensory receptor. Sensory receptor. What does a receptor mean? More muscle spindle. What stimulus excites muscle spindles? What stimulus excites muscle spindles? Previous semester. Muscle spindle. Skeletal muscle. Where muscle spindle is located?
Inside. In the middle of it.
Inside.
In the middle of it.
Inside here.
Yeah.
Muscle spindle. What stimulus?
Physical.
What stretching.
Stretching.
The same for facial muscle and the mastication muscle. Very interesting case, the unique single case in the our body where afferent neuron is located not in the peripheral nervous system but in the central nervous system. I will draw a picture. Masseter, for example, masseter, muscle spindle. Masseter one thing.
أنا خايف من بكرة السينما تلبس بس ما مثبتها مثبتة. ضاع على القمر.
One, 2S, one. masseter, muscle spindle. When you open your mouse to bite, a muscle spindle is excited and sends signal directly to the central nervous system. The main motor centers located inside brainstem, in midbrain, and in medulla. Midbrain, it's important. Medulla, midbrain, and medulla.
زي الفطر فيها طبعا
And the afferent neuron located in the midbrain. Usually afferent neuron located in the peripheral nervous system for all nerves, except this. This is a single case in our body when afferent neuron located here. It means a very fast control. Very fast control. Motor neuron, trigeminal neuron. Trigeminal neuron has several nuclei, sensory nuclei and motor nucleus. Here I draw motor nucleus, nucleus, trigeminal, internalized masticatory muscle. So, direct influence. When you are at rest, at rest, what happens with space between teeth? Do you have some space between your teeth? 1 millimeter. But gravity force, gravity force affect on your mandible and
Bullet
movement
down.
down, but you don't sit or don't walk like
Zombie.
that person. Why? Due to this reflex. When your mouth is opening, muscle spindle excites, and this tone reflex increase tone of masseter. When your mouth is closed excessively, muscle spindles of other muscles are exciting and provoke another reflex, inhibit its release. And tone of masseter decreases. Another receptor, very important receptor for chewing, control chewing, located in between periodontal ligaments, periodontal fibers. Periodont, periodontal ligaments. Erodontus. And receptors, mechanical receptors, and pain receptors are located here between periodontal ligaments. And this reflex has afferent neuron in the peripheral nervous system, and the reflex conveys information in the medulla. And the second other neuron is located here in the medulla, in the main sensory nucleus of trigeminal nerve. The main sensory nucleus. Main sensory nucleus. Main sensory nucleus conveys information about usual tactile stimulation during chewing, and then control this. It's simple. Reflex I don't put here. Inhibitory neuron, just idea. Then when I will send you a supplementary presentation, you will see more reflexes directed to open or closing mouse and study practice. Here is main idea. And about pain. For example, you have pain. Pain is relays. Pain information is relays in another sensory nucleus of trigeminal nerve. All sensory nerve trigeminals. Pain. Pain may be pain signal may be conveyed after there is a stimulation of receptor in the same place, periodopal receptors or glucose receptors. Pain receptors, nociceptors. Signal again relays in medulla, but in another nuclear. Do you remember pain? Previously.
Yes.
Spinal. Instead of I see.
يرزقكم والله.
Hard.
Now you can use this knowledge. Spinal, trigeminal, again, trigeminal nucleus. It's not spinal cord, again, medulla, but lower. Spinal nucleus, trigeminal nerve. And again, controls this.
تعرف في دور 10
It's a
دقيقة
simple reference. Of course, these fibers, iPad fiber, are divided to transmit information to the upper part of the brain,
أفضل
hypothalamus,
ساعة ونص.
sensory motor cortex, and control motor cortex. Control of mastication is very complicated. And honestly, I didn't find a lot of information in the scientific articles, foreign scientific articles, studying symmetry or asymmetry of mastication. With my student, I show you know the student, Vahid Ansari. Vahid Ansari. Do you know?
Yes.
It's famous. The best student. But we had the first.
He's in the first course?
First running group 2 years ago. My
Ah,
first,
Structural?
foreign group.
عارفة.
And we had a scientific work to study asymmetry of mastication with a record of myoelectrical activity of masseter and temporal muscle here and
لا
here.
أي
And our patients
الكهرباء بتجي
chewed
أنا الصراحة
food
انتبهت بشوف
نعم.
حياتي شخص
on the right side,
أقسم بالله
voluntarily, left side, and
أقسم بالله
with free.
شاركت استكان عندي برضه 10
And
دقيقة ترشيد
most of person, 50, half of person had
عندك مصر ممكن مصر
adequate
10
activity. Chewing on the right side, more activity. Chewing on the left, more
هذا
activity.
275
Mix is the balance. But some person has high acidity. Independently of prevalence of the side for chewing, activity of muscles on the one side was bigger in all tests. And some group has, I think, not good balance between activity of masseter and temporal muscle. With different pattern. It's called pattern of behavior. Mastication is behavior. Behavior is controlled by brain. And you can say, no, asymmetry, what is the problem? Problem with a different tension for teeth on the right side, left side, and finally more destruction on one side, and more problem with immunity, plus occupation. Well, it's enough about investigation. Swelling process study yourself. Pay attention, there just one phase, oral phase, when your tongue moves bolus to the root of the tongue. It's voluntary process. You can move forward or back. Then pharyngeal and esophageal phases are involuntary. Pharyngeal, during pharyngeal phase, when bolus is passed across pharynx into esophagus, bolus, what must be here? Epiglottis must close trachea, and hard palate, soft palate, close nose cavity, nasal cavity, to prevent passing of food into respiratory airways. Esophageal phase is a passing of food along esophagus. Stomach. These are their main reflexes from dental student to pass this color. Stomach. Stomach. Stomach has some parts, a functional part. Esophagus here. Esophagus. Lower esophagus sphincter. Lower esophagus sphincter controls, prevents coming food back into esophagus. You can watch my video animation food passing along esophagus and location in the stomach. By portion, step by step. One layer, one portion, one bolus, next bolus, next. One bolus of food passing here, then sphincter close until the next bolus. And food is located in esophagus by layers. One layer, next layer, layers of food. And food is, it's called chyme, not food, chyme. What is the function esophagus for digestion? Mostly here, proteins are digested. Proteins. Digestion of proteins prevails. Proteins digestion prevails. Because gastric juice of the stomach, contains a lot of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid denaturates protein molecules. It prepares molecules to be broken down. Protein digestion due to two factors: hydrochloric acid, denaturation, with big molecules becomes like floss. Denaturation and enzyme pepsin. Pepsin is a common name. There are several forms, kinds of pepsin, but the total name, common name for pepsin. Hydrochloric acid affect on pepsin and stimulate. Pepsin is produced in the inactive form to escape self-digestion. Because if pepsin will be active inside secretory cell, it would destroy secretory cell. It's impossible. The pepsin is released in inactive form, pepsinogen. And hydrochloric acid activates transformation pepsinogen into pepsin and active pepsin helps it also. Protein digestion, step by step. Chemical breakdown happens mostly in the area of fundus, the first part, it's called fundus. Fundus. Motor activity here is weak motor activity. Then stronger motor contraction starts approximately the beginning of body, fundus, first part. Middle part is called body, stomach. Here start peristalsis. Peristalsis is the main motor activity moving foot kind further. Peristalsis. Peristalsis. Do you know peristalsis word? No? Peristalsis. Motor activity. You don't find my presentation and version. Yeah, movement wave. Wave movement. Like wave. Peristalsis. And peristalsis moves layered with gastric juice, with digestive proteins, further to pylorus. First part, fundus, main chemical digestion. Second, body is transition. And last part is called pylorus or antrum. Pylorus or antrum. Between stomach and duodenum, we have pyloric sphincter, very important. At first it's closed. Pyloric sphincter. It's closed. Here, strong motor contraction, like peristalsis, but more strong. Peristalsis, why? Peristalsis, here, why? My brain has mixed all languages. Persian, English. I was listening to BBC news of Persian. I understood just 20%, but I know.
هات اشوف حاطط.
Peristalsis here. Here, why I was right. 45 slide. Total motor function and peristalsis. Explain. Deficiency of language actually is difficult to study, more difficult to study. Harder. Well, okay. Well, peristalsis, grammar pylorus, pylorus, here strong virus, strong contraction, mixing, grinding, chyme. When chyme becomes very acid and it's contains small particles, it stimulates receptors here, receptors. Information goes to brain with vagus and with efferent influence to sphincter open. Just when content of chyme becomes prepared to digest after. Secretory, you study yourself secretory cells in stomach. I will explain regulation. Secretory cells, you have everything, function, gastric juice. Regulation. How brain and stomach regulate gastric juice release. In accordance with Pavlov experiments, there are three main stages in regulation: cephalic stage, it depends just on brain, cephalic stage, gastric stage, and intestinal stage. Easy. When food is outside or inside mouth, stomach start to release more juice. It's cephalic phase. With food you not easily stop before. When food are inside stomach, it's gastric phase. When food goes to duodenum, it's filtered intestinal state. Значит, cephalic state. How to control stage? Cephalic stage. Cephalic stage. Cephalic. Cephalic stage. Brain, vagus nerve, preganglionic neuron, then preganglionic fiber, long preganglionic fiber, inside vagus nerve, relays on the wall of stomach and the intramural ganglia, the plexus, to the postganglionic neuron, and postganglionic neuron innervates secretory cells. For example, cells secreting hydrochloric acid, parietal cells. Did you study secretory cells of the stomach? Parietal cells, chief cells?
No.
Study here. Parietal cells. Study to the next class. Secretory cell, hydrochloric acid, and chief cell, secreted pepsinogen. This is a reflex, conditioned and unconditioned reflexes. When you think about food, see food, conditioned. When you chew it, unconditioned. Cephalic phase. Second phase, inside stomach. Gastric phase, gastric phase. What happens here? During gastric phase, chyme stimulates receptors at the enteric nervous system. Here, chyme stimulates receptors. Afferent neuron through interneuron. Again, control this. Easy. Chyme stimulates also receptors of vagus ending, and again central reflex. There's local reflexes, central reflexes, and third mechanism. Pylorus part contains special hormone, gastrin cells, G cells, remember the pylorus, gastrin cells, and the gastrin cells are open into cavity, lumen, and chyme stimulates directly gastrin cells in the pylorus. Gastrin cells release gastrin into blood, gastrin into blood vessel, and endocrine pathway stimulate secretory cells. And another hormone more, it's a great information about inhibition. Another hormone more, ECM cells, ECM cells producing another hormone, histamine. Enterochromaffin-like cells. Did you study? Enterochromaffin-like. You see, histamine containing cells. Just one histamine. These cells are controlled again by neuron, postganglionic neuron, and histamine stimulate like gastric secretory cells. What's the difference between histamine effect and gastrin effect? Histamine is short-term living hormone. It breaks down very fast. Yeah? So histamine affect just across interstitial fluid, paracrine. Gastrin has endocrine effect. Gastrin lives in the blood longer, more long time, consequently can affect stomach, on the stomach, or the intestine, and the brain. Intestine phase. Intestine phase. When food is inside the intestine, it stimulates, recall my first idea, oral cavity, just reflexes, here reflexes and hormones, and here mostly hormones. Reflexes also, but hormones mainly. What hormones? Endocrine cell, two types of endocrine cell are more important. One type produces cholecystokinin, CCK, and another type produces secretin. These hormones absorbed in blood and affect on stomach. Effect very complicated. Complicated effect. I will not explain details. It will be good. Finally, balance between the fluid secretin and cholecystokinin to cells producing hydrochloric acid or enzyme provides a slow decrease of gastric juice secretion. Of course, because food passes into duodenum. What about duodenum? I will not draw more because you are target, I am also, but I must explain details required for the last class digestion. Open slide pancreas. Pancreas 37, 38. Pancreas. Open, please. Everybody. At first, pancreas contains two parts. Exocrine to produce pancreatic juice, endocrine to produce insulin, glucagon, and additional hormones. Pay attention to exocrine part. Exocrine part, next slide. Exocrine part contains two types of cells, like salivary. The same. Acinar cells. Acinar cell produce enzymes, organic. Acinar enzymes. Duct cells produce inorganic. the main inorganic salt in the pancreatic juice is bicarbonates. Why? Because pH in the stomach is acidic due to its hydrochloric acid. It's necessary for the primary proteins digestion. But the rest of parts have alkaline pH. It's necessary to neutralize hydrochloric acid. So the rest of juices contain a lot of bicarbonates. Duct cells are responsible to produce bicarbonates and inorganic. So pancreatic juice, next slide, has very alkaline environment, about 8, to neutralize hydrochloric acid. There are digestion of all types of nutrients in duodenum, proteins, as well as lipids, as well as carbohydrates, everything digested. Pancreatic juice contains every type of enzymes, proteases, lipase, and amylase. Now, I would say that carbohydrates in stomach can be digested by just in the center. Here, amylase pH alkaline. Here, alpha amylase from saliva can block carbs. Gastric juice doesn't contain amylase, but amylase from saliva so can work in the stomach. In the middle part inside, because here pH is yet still alkaline. But pancreas contain amylase, similar saliva amylase, pancreatic juice, pancreatic lipase. Pancreatic lipase requires light activation, conformation activation. Pancreatic lipase is not very active, it requires additional activation, but can work. And nucleases active. Active enzymes, amylase, lipase, nuclease. But lipase requires additional activation. Inactive enzymes, proteases, trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidases, elastases. What substance activates this precursor? At first, trypsin. Trypsin is activated by enzyme of intestine juice, enterokinase. Just when food kind is not food, sorry, pancreatic juice is released into duodenum, enterokinase may activate juice. It's impossible inside pancreas because it's dangerous. Enterokinase is component of intestinal juice. And then trypsin activates the rest of pancreatic enzymes. About regulation, hormonal regulation prevails. Pay attention to 40 GH. Next slide.
Which one?
40 GH. No, 40. Значит, slide. What you must remember include 2 hormones, cholecystokin and secretin, effect on pancreas. Cholecystokin release is activated by food, proteins, and lipids, and cholecystokin activate acid cell to release more enzymes. So more food, more enzymes. Secretin is activated by hydrochloric acid. And secretin activates more ductal cells to produce bicarbonates. Easy logic. More acid, more bicarbonates. Easy. And function, passion slide about function. Well, to the next class, to the next for lecture for today, enough. Enough, because your attention and my work is not to the next week. Not this week. Next week if you need correct homework, my group is one group. Значит, 32 group bring homework tomorrow. If something wrong, correct it again to the next week. And what questions are made for class next week? Or common principles conveyed, common principles, regulations. Алло, Настя, у меня лекция. Алло. Настя, у меня лекция. А не знаю, я не буду на них, потому что у меня лекция, а потом сразу будет. And oral cavity, reflexes, salivary reflex, mastication reflex to draw, composition of saliva, function saliva. Next.
Professor, can you repeat?
Значит, common principle of digestion, conveyor. Oral cavity, composition of saliva, functions of saliva, and reflexes, salivatory reflexes, and mastication reflexes that I explained. And about stool, composition of juice, digestion in the stomach, phases of digestion, and motor contraction. No, oral cavities must have. Okay, about, I will explain again about homework with the second part. So, you calculate your BMR. For example, your BMR, you are male, with medium size, height, weight. Your BMR,
افتح لا الحاسب عشان افتح شوف اثبت لي صح
1,500 kilocalories. Your activity, just mental. You are lazy, mental. There's no physical activity, just mental. Mental job. Mental job. How to approximate? Mental job, it's about range 1,000 kilocalories. Because you are a man with a medium size, your mental job, approximately your total daily energy expenditure will be about 200 kilocalories, approximately. Small woman, for example, 2,000. Then you can increase it to 5-10% because assimilation of food not total. 5-12% can be not assimilated. This it may be increased to 1,000. Yes, your ratio must cover this range to be between this value and this value. Then, approximately your total ideal diet, energy content. Then you use caloric coefficient, carbs 40.1 kilocalories per gram, proteins the same, and lipids, fats, 9.5. And create amount of carbs, proteins, and lipids. Carbs 1 part, proteins 1 part, lipids 1.1, and carbs 4 parts. For example, 70 grams of proteins. You want to eat 70 grams of pure proteins. What will be a recommended lipids?
77.
77 grams. What will be recommended carbs?
218.
Grams. Then calculate this sum and compare with this. If not enough, a little increase. If excess, a little decrease. Easy.
طب بص يا حبي
Do you understand that?
بس نعطيها هلا ولا
Minus